We're going to move on to the Cotton Bowl for the second round of the playoffs and the quarterfinals. Miami takes on Ohio State and wins 24-14. We were at this game. This was a real shocker. Not necessarily that Miami won, which for most people that was a shell shock. I thought there was a real chance for Miami to win this game. I was teetering on the fence of whether I should pick them or not. I went with the talent profile and the proven commodity of Ohio State, just considering that they lost by 3 to the best team in the country before that, and that was their only loss. Ohio State hadn't been tested all season other than the Big Ten championship game in the first quarter against Michigan. So I had no reason to believe that Ohio State couldn't get it done against a very middle of the pack Miami offense. They just got outplayed. They got out physical, they got outplayed, they got outcoached in this game, and it showed. Miami did not have to do much on offense. It was several very high percentage conservative play calls from the offense of Miami to close out this game and to keep the ball rolling. They ran the ball consistently and kept handing it off to Mark Fletcher, and it wore down Ohio State's front at the end of the day. They were not built as tough as we thought they were. Their defense had been overhyped all season. They were still really solid. Don't hear me say that they were not good. They were very solid, but against legitimate competition, they fell short. And they could not carry their team to a win here. Ohio State's offense, I was shocked, played this poorly.
Ryan Day play calling.
Yeah, I think we talked about that a little bit beforehand. We didn't mention this on the podcast, but considering the fact that Brian Hartline is the head coach for the USF Bulls now and was relieved of his duties of calling plays by Ryan Day, via the confliction, obviously, that he would be the head coach of the school next year, Ryan Day chose to call the plays in this game. I think that showed. I think it showed in the Big Ten championship game, even though he called the plays. I think it showed there. He was not full focus for that game. It's impossible to be. You can't expect anybody to be full focus when they know that they're the head coach of a different football program and they're getting paid millions of dollars to be. So you can't expect much more. I'm shocked that other teams have gotten production out of those coaches that aren't supposed to be at their teams next year. This impacted Ohio State tremendously. They had a couple of explosives in this game, and that was about it. Could not get it done on offense. Virtually inept outside of Jeremiah Smith.
I was just shocked at how well Miami just handled Ohio State physically. I did not expect to see that. I figured this game would go the opposite way. I figured Ohio State would win in the style of game that Miami just did.
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't think Miami would be able to outscore Ohio State. And if they did, I figured Ohio State would be right behind them. And they just got really lucky, or they had a key turnover. This defensive front for Miami is no joke. Ohio State has not seen anything like that all season, not even close. Indiana might be the only comparison, and I genuinely don't think they have the playmakers that Miami's got on the edge. Indiana as a whole has a lot of depth and consistency at those positions at tackle and end and linebacker. That's why they're so good. They're all very sound players and they're all very impactful, but Miami has the best players on the defensive front in the country. And they are the sole reason this team is in the semifinals right now. If they can continue this level of play, I don't know that there is an offensive line other than Indiana's that can stop that. So we will see if they continue their collision course. I don't know that that'll be the case, but I wouldn't bet against it necessarily to a certain degree. Julian Sain finished this game with 287, 1 touchdown and 2 picks, including the pick six by, was it Keontae Scott for Miami?
I believe so.
Had a huge pick six on a screen pass. We were sitting facing the end zone where Keontae Scott was running into as he picked this pass off. I saw the setup for the play. I saw Brandon Ennis line up, setting up for the bubble
Yeah,
screen.
you telegraphed this play.
I literally looked at Lane and I said, dude, this is a freaking bubble screen. Like, what are they doing? This is probably the most obvious setup for a screen ever. And look, I'm not a couch coach. Like, I'm not a genius. Sometimes things are just obvious because I watch a lot of football. This was just one of those times where I've seen that play enough from multiple teams. And if I was the DB on the other side of the ball, I wouldn't have been near as fast as Keontae Scott was, but I would have seen that coming from a mile away. And Keontae Scott read that like a book. He was at the perfect time where he needed to be to pick that pass off. And I can tell you right now, he knew it was going to be a screen pass before the ball was snapped. 100%. He had to slow down his approach to get Julian Sain to be baited into throwing this pass. So he knew if he over pursued this, one, he probably would be there too early and he wouldn't throw it. Or if he tried to get off the gun too early, Julian Sain would see him rushing down and he would just pull it. So he timed this perfectly and jumps the pass. Rise Julian Sands letting it go to Brandon Ennis. No blocking for Ohio State against Keontae Scott, and he just houses this. Uncontested sprint to the end zone, right into the end zone where we were. It was unreal. The crowd was absolutely insane. They had a great turnout at this game. Really, really good turnout. Was not expecting that, considering the fact that Ohio State and Miami both had to travel all the way across the country to have their fans come to this game.
Yeah, I mean, it was nearly packed out. There was probably only a few thousand empty seats, and it was hard to tell where they were. I mean, they were so dispersed. There wasn't like any big open sections or nothing. It was a very filled stadium.
Yeah, we got a crazy steal on tickets. We've never done this before. We waited till literally when we pulled up to the gate where our parking pass was to buy our tickets. And it did not look like we were going to get what we needed or what we were expecting to get. And we might have missed out on a good opportunity to buy low. And out of nowhere, these seats popped up on, it was like the second section in Jerry World,
Yeah.
what we're going to affectionately call Dallas Cowboys Football Stadium. Um, I think they were priced between like 150 and 175 for that section. We got it at like $80 a piece. Complete steal. They popped up. It was two seats on the end cap, which is exactly where we wanted to be.
Yep.
That's God.
Perfection.
God had us. We probably shouldn't have waited that long though, so we won't be doing that again next time. But crazy steal on tickets. We got a great spot for this game. We had a blast. We sat right in between a ton of Miami fans, a ton of Ohio State fans, just jawing at each other.
We were right like on the divide, basically.
Oh, it's so much fun, dude. Because we were in the center behind the goalpost on the second level, and that was where both sides of the fan sections met and kind of intermingled in our section. And man, the smack talk was unreal from Miami the whole game. It was comical. Now, I've learned to enjoy as a fan of college football watching other. I'm gonna call them fanatics because I feel like they're on a different level than me, as much as how they care about sport and their teams combat each other and smack talk during the games. It is genuinely hilarious. And we got a show inside of a show in this game and a game inside of a game watching the fans go at each other. No fights broke out or anything crazy like that. But man, it was really fun. We had a blast. We'll talk about our experience a little bit more later. But to wrap this one up, Ohio State outgains Miami by a grand total of about 41 yards. So not much of a difference here in total yardage. The turnover battle won by Miami, outrushing Ohio State as well. Ohio State did not get done on the ground. That was another thing. We expected that to be a key factor in this game. Ohio State struggled to run the ball. Bo Jackson did not play well. CJ Donaldson had a couple runs, but also did not play his best. As a team, I think they were sub like 60 or 70 rushing yards.
45.
Not impressed.
153 for Miami to 45.
That is just not going to get it done. Carson Beck had a couple of really tough runs in this game. Nobody's going to give him credit for that. I think there were maybe 3 or 4 plays I could have counted where Carson Beck needed a first down, and he saw green grass and he said, "Screw it, I'm gonna have to take a hit here, but I'm gonna get the first down for my team." He was not going to be the reason that his team lost, and he was not. He did not turn the ball over. He didn't need to force anything in this game. I think he's learned his lesson. You do not need to force the ball to win games and be the hero, but he did put his body on the line several times in this game. So that was really impressive. He played a great game just as far as doing what he needed to do for his team to win, and nothing more, nothing less. He put his body on the line. If I'm playing for Carson Beck or I'm a coach for Carson Beck, I've seen all I need to see. He may not be near as good as Fernando Mendoza and Trinidad Chambliss and Dante Moore. It might not even be close. But what he did against Ohio State is all you can ask. So I was very impressed with that. Very impressed by Miami. Double digit win against Ohio State. You don't see that every day. We counted this team out in November as a no chance of making the playoffs pretty much. Late push. We end up betting on them to make it to the playoffs. We bet on them to make the playoffs, and then we end up picking them to beat A&M.
Well, you did.
I picked them to beat A&M. I kind of wished I picked them to beat Ohio State.
We were talking about it before the game, and then we just decided not to.
Yeah. And look, I'm not going to give us credit for something we didn't pick, but we really considered that.
We were
So
heavily considering.
I feel for the game wasn't too far off there. Miami gets the convincing win, and they move on to the semis.